I'm here at the Emirates Airline Festival of Literature 2020. Claire, thank you once again for joining me. But for now, let's talk about this book, After the End. And I believe this is inspired by a personal experience. Similar characters go through in this book, and it's basically about a couple who have to make a very difficult decision, a medical decision about their child, but cannot agree. So can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you and how the writing of this book differed perhaps your other books, which are fiction?
Yeah, of course. So, 13 years ago, 2006, my son was critically ill. We'd spent a number of months in hospital, and we were asked to make a decision about his future. Did we want to continue pressing for more treatment, even though the quality of his life was greatly impacted by a brain hemorrhage that he'd suffered, or did we want to remove him from intensive care and let him pass away? And I asked the doctor what happened if my husband and I didn't agree, because like most couples, we disagreed on all sorts of things, and they'd never mattered before, but here was something that really did. And the doctor said, you have to agree because the alternative is unthinkable. And so After the End is a novel about the unthinkable, a couple that love each other but love their son more, and what does that do to a relationship. And it was a very emotional book to write, as you can imagine, but it was also very therapeutic to let myself unlock some of the emotions that perhaps I'd deliberately shut away for so many years. So I really loved writing the novel, and it was a very different experience to writing my thrillers, which are perhaps more plot-led, so I'm going from one twist to another, whereas this is a book that's very character-driven. So it was a question of getting to know Max and Pip, deciding how they'd met, what their backstory was, what motivated them, why they made the decisions that they did, and then just writing the story as it unfolded. So there was less plotting, less planning, and more listening.
And did you find the writing flowed a lot more easily because you had so much of your own emotions to draw upon, or was it harder in a way to write it because it was so personal?
Both, I think, in many ways at different times. What was interesting for me is that the novel has a dual narrative. So we get to explore two alternate realities, the future as it would look if the father gets his way, and the future as it would look if the mother gets her way. And that was really therapeutic for me and really interesting to do, because it explored a lot of the what ifs that I've struggled with over the years. What if we'd made a different decision? Where would our lives be now? And I really enjoyed doing that and switching between the two.
Was it difficult to write from a man's point of view?
No, harder than writing from a serial killer's point of view, or we inhabit lots of characters' lives that we've never lived, and that's key to our job, is having that empathy and that ability to walk in someone's shoes. I think, having been a police officer for many years, I'm used to it's very similar to journalism, in that you're learning about people's stories all the time. You're speaking to so many different people at critical moments in their life. You sort of perhaps you learn a lot about what it's like to go through different situations and to live in a different world.
Amazing. And what has been the reader's reaction to this book? Have you found it's been different to, say, your thrillers?
It's been really special, really special. We started this process actually in a completely different way. We set up a private group online with 100 ordinary readers, so not journalists, not bloggers or book critics, just ordinary readers who already read my books, and they had the book 6 months before anyone else. They talked to me about the cover and the marketing and the content to a certain extent, and it was really interesting to have that early feedback. The response has been overwhelming, really. That I love I love hearing from readers, and I'm really touched by the stories that they share about the reasons why this book has resonated with them.
Amazing. It's such a special book. And thank you for taking the time to join me today as well.
Thank you.
That's everything from me. I look forward to seeing you again next week on Karen's Bookshelf.